back as we get ourselves ready now for game number 2. And what I suppose, Tally, there's a lot left to be decided in this series because at the gates, Grand Zero came swinging. What was it? Something absurd, like 27 kills alone, just between their 80 and AP carry. And you're looking at Mammoth and saying, look, they've got some very familiar faces, but it just wasn't hitting.
Yeah, you kind of need to be able to find a way to like make your carries comfortable and make the enemy carries uncomfortable. Like, I feel like Fido and Lemus had way too much freedom that game. I didn't really particularly like the draft towards the end from Mammoth. I think that they just, kept playing dive into the team that you could not dive into. You need to change like your identity pretty much. When you see champs like Poppy, Brand, you can't like just continue to do that.
Well, they certainly can't, because they're going to be flipping across onto the blue side, which we would imagine will change that pick ban priority just a little bit more. We mentioned before what we saw in terms of the bans, the likes of Skarner being denied away. No surprises there, to be quite honest. But from the side of Grand Zero, it was a case of removing, I don't want to say cheese, but anything that empowers Gudo, right? We removed the Sejuani, the Lee Sin, the
Ivan,
the Viego, anything that allowed him to basically say, I can act as a support, put the focus on the rest of my team. So I'm curious to see if that's going to be like a common theme, almost like a bridging tactic to say, we're 5 new players together, let's make it work.
Yeah, I think Ground Zero definitely had a good game plan going in. They got rid of like all these junglers who can act as like pseudo like engage but not dive in, and they kind of pigeon them into picking champs that are really bad into Brand and Poppy. And like once they locked them in at that point, like they were pretty comfortable in the draft. Like obviously, gameplay aside, I think that like if that was a stable early game, they still would have really struggled to be able to get onto GZ's team towards the end of the game. Yeah,
we sort of mentioned some of the struggles that might happen as a result of needing to snowball, and based on the fact that they didn't, and they fell very, very far behind, all those weaknesses that you highlight got exploited tenfold. So certainly a bit of discussion, I'm sure, between the ending of Game 1 and 2, maybe even during the game, quite honestly, knowing how far behind they were as to what kind of adjustments need to be made. Is it too early, do you think, to say we've seen promising signs from anybody in particular? I think Reneko had a very, very rough opening moment into TN, but look, I think I'm going to stay with my prediction before in terms of, I think Predith did all right.
Yeah, I think Predith did a good job for what he could. Like first game on mid, he has no priority, he has no winning lanes, like he's kind of just existing, he's CSing. I think he did a good job at doing what he could, finding that like one pick on the... Well, he did miss the charm, unfortunately. He's going to remember that for the rest of his life, but it is what it is. But I think he still did a good job, and I think that there were some signs of life from Mammoth. Hopefully they can find themselves in a better position in this next draft.
That we certainly hope so, and I suppose we're going to keep bringing it up until it does or does not happen, so maybe we're just going to say this every single game that Mammoth are in, but will the bot lane have any flexibility? That man on your screen right now in voice, once upon a time in AD Carry, was the sub on Antic, your championship finalist as well, playing under likes of King. Then says, you know what, I want to get on the starting roster, now play support. But does that mean he ever gets a chance to play as an AD Carry? You can see in the back of his wall there the posters of the Samira, the Twitch. I think of other champions like Draven, for example, in his wheelhouse. So it would be a shame if he was told, you know what, you're just playing Yuumi.
I'm not seeing a Nautilus poster. I'm seeing AD Carry posters.
For good reason too. I think all those deaths, probably the poster gets ripped off the wall.
True. I mean, I would struggle playing into Kiraxlin as well, honestly, after that.
Me too. Look, all flame aside, I would be 20 times worse, and that's why it's funny. But either way, Ground Zero going to open up here with the Corki. Interesting.
So we haven't swapped sides, actually.
Yeah.
So Mammoth have chose the red side. So unfortunately the graphic was incorrect, but they've decided to give the Corki again and pick the Tristana into it. I assume this is going to go mid lane and act as like a handshake. Double AD carries, like you kind of just exist in mid lane and there's not much is going to happen. But we could see all-ins happening level 1, level 2.
maybe, just maybe, they've realized what we've realized, which is like, hang on a minute, shouldn't they be the other side? Grand Zero trying to do a little bit of cheeky shenanigans there, saying, let's just run it back, guys. Let's just get the exact same draft and just win again. So back to this, a little bit of limbo, I suppose you would say, as we wait for the lobby to get remade and the sides to be flipped around. I guess, yeah, once again, it becomes a question, right? What is first pick worthy? Now, from your experience on this new patch, we've talked about Corki. We said that Skarner's quite strong. Is there anything else, I suppose, from the mid lane, be it your area of expertise?
Mid lane, Not really. There's no like first pick mid laners that I would really think of. Like you don't really have like the Azir. There's not really like the old Corki kind of thing. I think it's more like junglers can be first picked, and you can like draft around that. I think like AP jungle is extremely strong. I think that like Caitlyn in AD carry is also another champ you can like draft around because it kind of forces you to, you know, either take the Lux or play against the Caitlyn Lux, which has been an extremely oppressive lane. And you know, in the hands of like Limus Kurak, we saw what they did with the engaged support. So like, it's kind of unheard of what they could do with, you know, such an impressive lane. But I don't think there is many mid laners right now that are like considered first pick. Like everything is fine, but nothing, you know, stands out to me.
So what you're saying is AD carry gets buffed, all the AD carry players are no longer crying on social media, and now it's getting first pick like it's been done countless times before. So it really is the best time to be an AD carry. I think we even were discussing some of the rune changes, right, with the likes of Lethal Tempo and someone being removed away. You've even got the ability for like a first strike Caitlyn with cashback, and suddenly you're just making gold.
Yeah, we didn't really mention it because no one was really running the rune last game, but first strike, like it did get changed from the like, when you proc a spell, you get 5 base gold. It's now 15, so a lot of like supports or like mid laners with pokes can like easily proc this like off cooldown and make like a lot of money in lane. It's more of an early game rune now, and not so much like you make, you know, like there's like 200, 300 like gold combos with Jace in the late game. It's just a nice way to like make income. You tie that in with like the cashback, and like suddenly you just have, you know, a bit of excess income in the early game.
Yeah, basically you just like tempo Kingdom to some extent, as we do see the Caitlyn denied away for the second successive game. Sides are flipped around. The picks, though, are basically the same, aren't they? It is going to be the Corki picked in by Mammoth as their first option. Grand Zero instantly respond back with that Tristana and Nautilus, but they've locked in the Draven. And look, we know Limus loves it, but this will feel really bad if he steals some voice.
Yeah, curious to see what they pick up in bot lane to answer this. Like, they do have the Rel pairing, so like it's either you do want to go in on this Draven and like try win the 2v2, or you just, you know, play the Varus, you outrange him, you don't really want to interact with him. But I do like what Mammoth have drafted in their first 3. Like, it's a lot more, like, they're not on a clock, not on a timer. They can outscale, they can play comfortably, they just have to get through the early game. As we do see the Syndra locked in, so maybe this is a Corki going to the bot lane.
It would certainly seem that way. You wouldn't want to see a Syndra in the bot lane. I mean, certainly it's a possibility, but would seem a little bit curious to say the least. Considering then, what is our 5th and final pick? What ties this all together? We need a little bit more engaged, and Cassante is going to be just that.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Mammoth putting the Syndra bot lane too, but honestly, coming out of a 5th pick, Poppy is banned. Have to see what Thean wants to lock in here. If it's just a tank, you know, handshake the front to back, because they do have like triple carries. Or if he does want to go for the Camille, and he does.
He certainly does. He says, well, we can lock you down. We've got the poke, we've got the engage, we've got the healing also from Lily. Another unsung hero factor, I suppose, about the champion, right? Whilst you have that incredible 1v1 potential late game, that heal is second to none. Like, there's almost a world in which you want to say, I mean, it's probably terrible, but like an E-Max Nidalee support, it's like the old Kog'Maw Nunu.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Nidalee is like the largest attack speed steroid in the game. So like when you pair this, when you pair this with double AD carry, like towards the late game, like the DPS that they output is quite insane. Like everyone thinks of Nidalee as this like you know, early game invade, like jungle gap champion, but she does have access to like this utility in the like mid-late game, which really makes your auto attackers go insane.
Let's look it up. Let's just do it live. Let's figure it out on the spot. Yeah, late game, if it's all maxed out, that's a 70% bonus attack speed for 7 seconds. 7 seconds of just blasting.
That's some like season 1 stuff happening.
That's
like,
crazy.
Oh yeah, we forgot this was in the game, my bad.
Oh, my bad. We just buffed that. Nobody maxes E first, right? Like, who cares about that one? Either way, it's a double AD carry comp, as you quite rightly highlight, that'll have that late game insurance, but they've got the ways to try and bring them into the early game too. The adjustments, though, from Mammoth, are you sort of happy with what you've seen? Obviously, they picked up the likes of the Corki, they denied away to Talia that we know is a talisman of Schönfire. Do you think this one's a little bit more cohesive?
Yeah, definitely a lot more cohesion from their team comp. There's like, no one has pressure on them to like outperform their role. Like you kind of just, you can play a 7 out of 10 and like you can win through just pure like team fighting. Like there's no scaling advantage. There's no like struggle in the early game. You know, they're happy to give dragons if they have to. Like this is a comfortable draft from Mammoth, and on the side of Ground Zero, like the same thing. They're comfortable with their, like what they've shown. Like I assume it's just going to be a lot of priority into like Shern invading, and like if Mammoth is able to club a good in the early game, I think they'll be happy with that.
Well, with all that in mind, let's see what happens, because a level 1, actually, we just cut the cinematics to say, you know what, ignore the beauty of what that could be, because we're fighting. It's not even a minute in, and we're getting it going, and will we see a level 1 win? Nope, unfortunately for Kirak, the hook doesn't connect and everything will just simply fizzle out.
Yeah, curious to see if Ground Zero does decide to go for a late invade and like split the map. It's like, it's a good idea, sort of. Like they do have a stronger level 1, but I think Shern wants to be able to punish Gudo as much as possible, and like, you know, splitting the map and allowing Talia to have like 2 quadrants completely safe is like not ideal. So we'll see if they, you know, do want to late invade or, you know, play for a cheese.
Ooh, play for the cheese. We nearly saw it happen there with the bot lane of Ground Zero posturing and getting ready for Gunkrab to rotate around. He was seen on vision, and Gunkrab goes safe, but Voice does not. He burns his flash. He's down to 50. He has to go back to base. Look at the jungle. You talked about how aggressive they want to be to make sure that Gudo's life is not that fun, and he also has had to burn flash.
Imagine your bot side is getting invaded, and you're like, oh, okay, I get my blue, that's chill, and then you just get jumped on by both solo laners.
It's
like,
it's a crime.
There's no chill for Gudo here. Like, he's gonna have a really hard time starting the early game. Skirmishes does go for the hook, and it goes wide.
Does go for the hook, doesn't actually hit the train as well, so he can't even get the buff of the auto attack, but Limus is going for the all-in, catching the axes, doing the big AD damage as Voice gets close to him, tries to do damage, but remembers, I'm actually a Rel, I do no damage, but still, I'm going to persevere, weaving in those auto attacks from the spear, turning around as the first blood goes the way of Gunkrab. Instantly, Limus cashing in with little to no stacks, because it's only 2 minutes, but Voice gets it. There's another kill, and he dies for the minions. Oh, no.
Oh, that's sad. Even though they went for 2 for 2, Draven's got that little bit of extra gold. He's going to come out on top there. I would be very happy as GZ going for a 2 for 2 there. I think that like having this like double kill lane, no summoners in bot lane definitely favors them, especially with like Talia gank. I mean, not Talia, Nidalee gank priority. I think they're in a happy position here, but you know, we'll have to see if Gudo wants to, you know, like sack his path a bit and play around bot.
I'm curious to see what the game plan would be for Gudo, knowing that his work was cut out for him in game 1. Does he feel he needs to be a little bit more selfish this time and try and be the starter, show himself as the Talia? Or does he still say, right, well, I can spot an opportunity, there's an opening here. I'll look to try and set that one up quite nicely, because as for Tien, I mean, look at this wave that he's built up in the top lane. This is a disaster waiting to happen. Schoenfire already entertaining the idea of going bot lane. The interrupted disengage from Voice. Beautifully done there by Kirak. Buffered with another axe as well to make sure that he's dropped down low. And without any potions, Schoenfire looks at him and says, well, you're next one on the cards, because once this wave crashes, we are ready to dive. The hook out of range as he dashes onto Schoenfire and simply just gets targeted 1-for-1.
Yeah, see, this was the, you know, Shern's a bit too far ahead. He's playing between the waves, like playing the proxy. Gudo just comes down and finds the easy kill. This is the one problem with like diving in the early game. Like you don't really know where the jungler is. You kind of just like flipping if he's here or not. Gudo does decide to come down. You know, they find the easy kill on Shern.
A very nice way for them to get back into this one, to certainly make sure that the game doesn't blow out of control at an accelerated pace like it did beforehand. Schoenfire, having already picked up the Dark Seal, unable to try and snowball that one with any early stacks for him. And with Fido holding this wave, easy ability rather, I should say, for them Praetor to roam the map and link up if need be. But yeah, promising start for them. Begs the question then if they'll find enough control to then, you know, contest the likes of a dragon.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. Like they kind of navigated the hard point in the early game. Like the wave crashed and they were able to farm it. And now the wave's back in a neutral state. They should be happy with no flash, not hook speed. Oh, sorry, as I am incorrect there. Not does have flash still. So maybe they will be in a bit of trouble. We'll have to see.
We'll have to wait and see. Shern going to pop his head into mid lane, clear out some vision, make sure that he can continue to play in the dark and keep his opposition guessing. Obviously, you saw a fair bit of volatility there in the top lane as they trade blows back and forth, farming up that grasp of the rune, but also at the same time looking to try and bounce the wave back and see if the jungler were to pay any attention to that lane whatsoever. For Shern, really is a case of just denying as much as he can, making sure that Gudo cannot just, you know, outplay him and become a stronger carry threat.
Another stacked wave on bot.
Too upset, really.
Gudo isn't here this time, and there's a double stacked wave on bot lane. We'll have to see.
Second time lucky. Here we go then, who's the focus? Well, he started initially onto Gunkrab, who burns the Valkyrie nice and early. The knockup is fantastic and actually gets him 1 kill. Make it a 1-for-1 so far as both AD carries pick up the gold. The spear just missing. Voice surrounded by a ton of minions and 2 enemies that are down quite low. They're no longer interested. Shern looking for the kill as he actually gets procced by the Ignite. Limus says, how dare you touch my jungler? They'll also fall on down, and this bot lane, just by existing there, you die.
Yeah, Shern, once again, like, he's just sacking himself to get bot a little bit further ahead. We'll have to see if, like, Gudo is able to pick up 2 or 3 camps. I assume he's going to get away with 2 here pretty comfortably, get himself a little bit of a lead, but, you know, Shern's really happy with that outcome. His bot lane is so far ahead now, and that's an easy way to snowball the game.
It certainly is. I mean, we can definitely talk about the fact that Mammoth are trading on all these occasions, but it's a 4-1 Draven. You can never understate that fact there, as Fido is going to say, get back into that pit, Buster shot him back in, act like a minion, like one of those Void Grubs, which can easily be turned to now. Yeah,
that was the one saving grace of the bot dive, was that Guru was getting camps, but they find him on the exit there. Gets the red. I'm pretty sure Fido picked up the red buff there, which is going to be really nice for his lane. He's going to have a lot of kill pressure on the Cinder if he finds the jump.
Yeah, Voice looking for the jump. Not going to be so successful. Time and time again, don't we? We see him holding his lane on his own, and it's fantastic for Kurak being able to free your own.
Yeah. This is the one like unfortunate thing with Mammoth's comp is like they don't really have the early game to be able to punish stack waves like this. Like normally you see like the bouncing as we do go into a replay. Unfortunate Voice wasn't able to block the Nidalee Spear here. I feel like if he was, a lot of the damage onto Gunkrab would have been avoided, and they probably could have had a much more favorable outcome. But you know, like Nidalee's burst in the early game when she lands the spear into the execute is pretty unmatched.
Yeah, spear, pounce, delete with the swipe. It's pretty goated, to say the least. Ignite was a nice saving grace there, but out of the action into another fight as it starts off with Draven getting excited. 5-1 now as Voice is low. Second come of the axe being thrown towards him. So double kill for him there. Very nicely done as the UI glitches out since they've picked up 3 dragons in one fell swoop. That's not right, but either way, Ground Zero in a comfortable spot.
It's like Arena, you know, when you get the augment that gives you the mountain soul or the triple dragon soul.
All the souls at once.
Nice stun from Predator there. Good chunk in the trade. Like the way that like the Syndra Tristana matchup works is like if you don't have enough vision for the Tristana to constantly be able to jump in, Syndra does find like the chip trades, and she eventually gets you down to execute range with her ult. But you know, Fido's doing a good job navigating this, and I think that he's pretty happy with how the game state's been going.
Certainly will be. First item being picked up then by Limus. He gets the Bloodthirster online, which is going to really help out in fights like this.
Yeah, curious that Mammoth actually decided to start this dragon here. I think like the game state is not really in a good spot where you want to fight this fed Draven. Like Predator tries to find like a flash stun so they can get a kill, but like they just don't have the items or like the XP compared to Ground Zero right now, and they just get wiped.
Certainly do, and I suppose it opens the Pandora's box of what may happen as a result of this one. We've entertained the idea that we want to give you a gold lead again. After all this back and forth, primarily around the bot lane, we want to give you an opening to become even stronger. I will say though, whilst we've been mentioning the fact that Gudo was a saving grace, I think Reniko this time has actually found himself in a much more comfortable spot, this time up by 20 CS.
Yeah, actually, we haven't touched on top lane. He's doing a really, really good job. Like, the last time I noticed top lane was when Thien was doing a really good job, like, poking in front of his turret, but Reniko's done a really, really good job to just, you know, play this matchup, as we do have a bot dive here.
We do. As much as we want to talk about top lane, it's all about double flashing and saying, get this Corki no matter what. You can get that blue side first pick, but it will not function in the same way that our Corki did. As Kurak looks to try and tank up the tower, hook the disengage away, buffers the auto so he doesn't fall on down, and Schönfei, even with that ramped up tower, doesn't die as well. So all those turret plates are gone. That bot lane no longer exists.
Yeah, Limus is on track for another nuke game. This is something that I do see a lot in Ost. Like, you can't really leave the bot lane to its own vices after the early game. Like, you need to be covering on these bot waves, and I just don't think the communication is coming through about like when Gudo or Praetus needs to be around bot to make sure they don't get dove like that. As we do see the 3-man.
Let's see if they do anything in this top lane, right? Let's see if they
can
find a way onto Tien. He's got no flash, but he does have the hook shot, so he baits it out first of all. Hexagon is there to try and buffer another skill shot, but we're going to pay attention to another dive now in the bot lane. Instead, the focus is kill Limus, deny the stacks, get the bounty, get 1k shutdown, but it's just not possible. 10 minutes in, Schönfei just gets away, but then he falls on down to a flash from Voice. And the Axe says 10-1, 10 minutes, 10 kills. I am the man of the hour. As they do eventually take down Tiena's return back to the top lane. Fantastic flick from Gudo, and that finds them a second.
You know, shout out Kurak, honestly. Felt bad for them and decided, you know what, guys, I'll hook back in. You can have a kill. Good by Mammoth to find the trade, though. Like, it's pretty common when you see like a dive happening on one side of the map. The other side of the map is a bit open to being, you know, susceptible to a dive themselves. Luckily, Reneko is playing the laning phase really well and, you know, set up the opportunity for them to be able to snowball the game. He is 2-0 right now, but, you know, we'll have to see if he's able to transition that into like anything in the mid game if they are able to find Limus.
see how it all materialized. Really was the case of them just playing with their food a little bit inside that concave and saying, well, we'll pass it across to the Cassante. But like you mentioned, it was a case of going back in to give him that second kill. Whether there's a world in which the Cassante can become strong enough to get, you know, double crit nullifying abilities, be it a Frozen Heart into Aranduin's, if the game maybe gets that long, he can become a bit of a raid boss to try and shut them down.
Yeah, I mean, you did talk about like Cassante being a raid boss, but then Lemus already has his LDR in his back pocket.
Dude, it's 11 minutes, he's got 2.5 items.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bit ahead of the clock, and now like the bot lanes and top lane. This is when you're like, oh, I was winning my lane, like what's going on, why are they here already? We'll see how much damage Lemus can do here.
This does feel like one of those bot games, you know, those like training dummy games where you're like, oh, I just want to quickly check out these like skills because he just hits so hard. He's just so much stronger than anybody else. He's down 2 levels into these solo laners, but he's up so many items, it doesn't even matter. And Eco tries to zone him out of the fight, which he's certainly successful in doing so. With the axe is now expiring, Kurek says, I'll take this one for you. You back away, protect that bounty. 1k gold is too much to lose. And Schoenfire also falls into that same category where it's like, I've just been stunned. There's no getting out for me. Save the VIP, keep this Draven alive.
Yeah, unfortunately they weren't able to find the 1k bounty there, but like they do find 2 kills for nothing. Guncrab's holding mid turret, the bot wave's not crashing yet, so they're not really like losing big resources yet, so they're happy with how it's going. As they are looking for a top flank.
Oh, 2 different plays at 2 different occasions, and they do find Lemus. That's massive. That's absolutely huge. The first kill of the game here for Praedyth, and it's a massive one with 1k gold going his way.
You know what? You know, respectable, going for the safe play. I saw the hook angle.
decides to reel it in on this occasion, right? Isn't able to have the same amount of like 1v1 potential as that Leona in the last game, but I think really, above all else, whilst Praedyth has been forced to group with the rest of his team to try and flourish a bit, Fido's been left to his own devices, and I think, you know, Tristana able to nice sidestep there on the flick back, but a Tristana left to his own devices, he's just freely scaling.
Yeah, we did see Praedyth was able to pick up the 1,000 gold bounty, but he's still behind in Golden Fighter. Like, this just comes from like the early skirmishing that he's been winning, and the tower plates he had access to there when they dove the Corki.
What is Granzura's next play then? Knowing that top lane is the focus, bot lane tower's already been taken, Tien has been forced to flip the map state as a result. Obviously makes sense then, right? You've got yourself this incredibly strong Draven with 6 Void Grab stacks. I mean, why not? Wherever the Draven goes, the towers simply will just fall on down. The TP in to guarantee the fight, the Magnet Storm to lock in free, but Voice has got him far too early as Guncrab says, maybe I can have a crack at it, but 2 axes and he's basically dead. Sidestepping on the pebbles, Lemus is holding on for dear life as he catches the axe. And look at those blinking health bars tally. Praedyth, he sees them all, says that's a triple kill waiting to happen, but the only triple happening here is for Fido.
That is extremely unfortunate. You know, like one Talia E position a little bit to the right or left, you know, completely changes that fight. That's just GZ, like, playing with, you know, just mechanical prowess. They're extremely comfortable in those scenarios. Like, it's good to see teams, you know, not slowing down when they're ahead and being scared to throw. I think, like, these are the kind of, like, micro executions we need to see, like, to, like, make our region, like, as strong as possible.
It certainly seems to be the case. We've had a few different moments now where mechanical masterminds have come into life. Let's run it back on the replay. It all starts with Voice going in just a fraction too early, you'd have to say.
Yeah, he just went a bit too early, but I can't really blame him. The positioning from them was a bit aggressive. Like, we do have, actually, unsung hero in this play was Thien marking Cassante, so he wasn't able to TP and clean this fight up, which is extremely important. Like, this is something you would communicate as a team ahead of time. Like, oh yeah, we're going for a top dive. We win the 4v4, just make sure like their strong player isn't able to impact the fight.
That was the case, wasn't it? Certainly was, because if the Cassante does rock up, he's the one with the lion's share of their gold at this stage, I'd say, with the Iceborne Gauntlet complete, working his way towards you know, some mitigation towards these very fed AD carries with that Warden's Mail now picked up too. See, really at what point they feel that they're strong enough, right? Because they find themselves in a similar fate, down by 6,000 gold. It's not insurmountable, but certainly not enough to feel strong that you can contest just yet.
Yeah, they're still just, you know, one good team fight away, as we do see one siding here.
Well, here is that one good team fight. His Voice jumps in with the Magnet Storm again. This time it does, in fact, find some success because it gets the kill. Down goes Schoenfire. Instant response, though, as Draven showcases that my wallet, again, is just so big. You might have an item, but I have 3.
Yeah, Fido just had complete free access to the backline there. You saw he jumped into 3 people and he was just blasting. As he is going for a loop. No, he's going for top there. Smart man going for the farm.
It's always gold. That's all you really care about at this stage. Lemus, he's just free hit him. He is literally free hit Guncrab like he's a caster minion.
What tower?
Unbelievable. What a game state. I mean, I think for me, Lemus is probably saying, well, this is AD carry, guys. I don't even need a support. I just get to 1v1 everyone.
Yeah, this isn't Lemus. This is just his role.
True.
His role's just broken.
Lemus is actually not that good. It's just the role, eh?
Yeah, he's not that good. We've all watched his stream. We know.
What can Mammoth get up to then? Because a dragon is there. There is no Cloud Soul, okay? We did have the bug before with the UI, but there is only one dragon. That was taken at, what, 7 minutes into the game? Once again, the game has been a case of forget these objectives. We just want a team fight. So that's what they're going to do. In they go again. Voice tries to dash out, but the ultimatum says nope. And drags him right back. But then with the spear not connecting, he's gone.
Yeah, Ground Zero are not like too comfortable chasing there. They don't really have the vision, and it's not really worth like getting that bit of extra gold. Like, I know for sure Lemus is on an insane amount of gold right now, and he wants to find a reset. But knowing him, he's probably going to stay on the map until he can afford 2 items.
Not ready to pick up one. He wants to go back to Boris with a ton of gold. And I mean, honestly, at this stage, who can blame him? Because he weaves in a couple of auto attacks here and there, and the Void Grubs are spawning another army down that lane state. And yeah, I mean, Mammoth got their work cut out for him. Reneko, the most Veg would say at this stage of the game, is unfortunately the one getting focused on down. And no matter how tanky you might think you are, you're just going to die. They're going to try and chase on down and find Schoenfire. He's been exhausted. He's been flipped back and then gone all out on. Limit says, well, it's time to play the montage music. The hardstyle's blasting. The hardstyle stopped. He can't 1v3.
And they find another 1,000 gold shutdown, which is huge. If Fighter does get out the TP, I believe he will.
That was close.
Yeah, and even though Mammoth are winning these fights, the whole time, Tien's just in the side lane. He's just like trying to make sure this Cassante, if he's grouping, he will be punished. There's another 700 gold on at the end. Like, getting these inner towers, breaking the map is so big for Camille. Being able to find like the flank angles later on the game completely changed the champ.
Okay, Fido. Fair enough, mate. You want to prove why you're on this roster. That was nice. That was very, very nice, I may have to say. The tower falls on down, and Voice might also be sharing that same fate in just a second, but he denies it. Tien, having locked him in place, is actually the recipient of his own demise.
I don't know if Tien's just... I'm not grouping anymore, guys. Bye-bye. But one time he groups, he just dies.
This is why I split push, guys. Dearie me. I mean, for me, it just feels like one of those games, right, where you can roam and do as you please, and you're always split pushing too. It's crazy. Let's run it back on this replay once again, because it's looking good for Mammoth.
Yeah, honestly, a bit of a iffy engaging onto Cassante there isn't really ideal. Like, he's just gonna buffer all the damage you do. Lemus like does deal with the TP flank coming from Praedyth, but his entire team's dead by the time he rejoins the fight, and like even though he's this fed, he can't really deal with being CC'd.
Well, you lose the team fight, you're losing the lanes, you're losing the towers, you're down, what, 6 towers to nothing. The map simply belongs to Ground Zero. They're up now by a whopping 10,000 gold. And yet again, another battle takes place between these two carries as to who can do the most damage. This time, Lemus does win on the fact that he's got double the kills of his new mid laner. But he's not going to be sitting too upset by that one. I mean, you look at Schoenfire and say, you're 0-6 and 16. Do you think he really cares, Haley? Because I don't think he does.
Nah, he did it. He knows he like sacrificed himself in the early game to get his bot lane ahead, and his bot lane is extremely ahead. Like, he's happy with how he's done his job. Like, maybe if this was solo queue, you'd be like, oh, like I'm not carrying. Like, I'm not getting my dopamine injection. But you know, like in comp, like it's a 5v5 game. You do whatever it takes to win. You
certainly do. You drop the ego. You say, well, if you're going to be the star of the show, then I'm here to support that. If it gets you the W, that's all you really care about, right? You want those 3 points. They're absolutely essential, certainly for guaranteeing your highest possible seeding when players do come around. But it's a phenomenal opening for them to showcase that even with these new faces on the roster, their skill level has not dropped one bit.
Yeah, generally it's impressive like how clean they've been. You can also like ascertain that to like how ahead they are, but I think that like Ground Zero have done a really good job with like their macro, their early game, like transitioning leads well. And it's nice to see that like the beginning of the split isn't so messy and like it would tidy up towards the end. Like if this is how we're starting, I'm excited to see what the rest of the split looks like.
100%. I mean, it's been a common, I don't want to say cop-out excuse, but a common denominator, right? Where teams are saying, oh, you know, we're new, we haven't had much scrim practice and so on and so forth. But this is, this has been entertaining, to say the least. Even if for Mammoth it's a bit of a living nightmare, They're still looking to try and find a way back into this one, and that goes with a blind stun to try and lock down Kurak. He's low enough that he's forced to flash away. A TP from Mammoth to try and back him up. The spear is there, the pounce comes on through, the Magnet Storm to try and act as a bit of zoning control, but Fido subs himself in. He gets the damage done. He gets knocked back by the Cassandra, who goes all out right underneath the tower and eventually gets that shutdown. There is all the damage coming together as Praetor is able to answer back in a phenomenal fashion, but it all goes down to the Corki, who eventually gets himself the triple.
Yeah, good luck Fido playing the game there. He just walked up for an auto attack and got kidnapped for a solid 10 seconds, couldn't move. But yeah, we're seeing the Corki damage. Like, even though he's so far behind, he picked up like those 2 lethality items and he's just absolutely pumping them. We'll see what Tien is able to do here in the 1v2 though. Does have the ult.
Does have the ult. What tricks does he have up his sleeve? Goes in for the hook shot, still has the flash. The empowered Q doing so much damage. Ult on Praetor's head and guarantee that that is a winning fight. Now, for the second round in this one, can he beat the unstoppable monster that is known as Cassante, dodging out those Tofo strikes, which was nicely done as he buffers with the passive to get the shield to flash out of harm's way. His Gun Crab is just out of range with that phosphorus bomb, and Kurag cannot connect with that hook. Oh, sniped! What a phenomenal snipe there by Gun Crab, who then dies in a heartbeat right afterwards. This game, if nothing more, Tally, has been so entertaining.
Yeah, it's really, honestly, it's nice to see trades happening, you know, people aren't just dying. We're seeing, like, Tien going in, waiting a bit just so the respawn timer on Fido's a bit closer, so he knows even if he doesn't win that, like, the TP's there to clean up. And a good job by, you know, Gungrab to find that last snipe onto Tien at the end there.
Well, back Ground Zero go again with 6 of those Void Grubs. These structures just melt like butter. Fido tried to buffer that one away, but unfortunately now is stuck between a 1v1 situation as he tried to get a kill on Cassante. A beautifully primed stun as they do scatter the weak. And they fought the attempts of their bases falling on down low. Kurak, very low himself, is forced to try and run away. Lemus cops himself in exhaust and doesn't even bother to hit cleanse or flash. Just stands, but does not deliver because he's now dead.
I'm going to be honest, Lemus is too fed for his own good. He's never going to run away from a fight that he should be running away from. He's just going to stand and deliver every time.
Oh, well.
Schönfire
has snuck himself into the back line like he is an agent and said hello. Nice little dash across the wall there. Completely denying the ability for Mammoth to try and find that kill. Voice flashing too, but loses vision for just a second. And that vision break is enough to ensure that Schönfire can survive.
Wasn't able to find the flash with the remount there onto Schön and, you know, get the kill onto Praetor, but still not the worst. You know, they're finding trades, even though they're so far behind in, like, gold and map control. Like, this could be much worse. I think that, like, Ground Zero are probably playing a bit too fast. They should, like, slow the game down to be able to close it out pretty easy, but it's good that Mammoth are able to find, like, any gold into their carries right now.
Certainly is, because if nothing else, it's the fact that Gunkrab, despite how chaotic that bot lane early game was, you know, he's got 3 items. He's a full item behind that still of the Draven, as to be expected, but he's keeping pace with the rest of the team, and in some cases actually further ahead than members on Ground Zero.
See what Reneko is able to do here is he's being collapsed on by the 2 really fed carries. Sure, how broken is Cassante?
The comms are now, okay, who wants this kill? You know what, we cannot actually spoon feed this one. We just both need to do damage and let the game decide for us. There's another cash in, even more gold, because Lemus needs it. As Praetor unleashes the power and lives to tell the tale. Out comes the Talia Rocks as they try and break the line. Tien! No, Tien! He's been denied! The tax sweep gets it done in the end, but he knows that he's dead. And he hands it across to Goodo in the end.
Yeah, this is this constant, like, cross-map trading. Like, one play happens on one side, another play happens on the other side. You know, and then once again, we're bouncing back to the top side. More is happening. Have to see if Mammoth want to punish this. I'm just going to get the inhibitor.
Yeah, not really given an opportunity to defend that one, unfortunately. That's their second inhibitor falling on down. Desynced in terms of their respawns, so it's going to keep them locked inside their base for a fair bit of time. If nothing more, it's easy ways to farm minions to try and you know, find an opportunity to find that fight. Maybe, just maybe, that's when the next dragon spawns, be it that would be a soul point for Ground Zero. If nothing more, if the game were to go that long though, maybe they're praying for like an Elder Soul condition.
Yeah, saving grace is the Baron is the next objective, and their top 2 inhibitors are down, not the bottom, so they don't. Where they're farming or where they're going to end up is on the objective side of the map. They're not forced to, you know, go on the other side of the map and play away from the next objective. They still have like over 3.5 minutes until like the soul fight happens, and by that time the inhibitors would be up and they would be absorbing, you know, all that gold that's been coming into their base consistently.
That's a good point you raised, right? The ability to be in the right area to naturally plant that vision line down to protect your farm, but also to guarantee some eyes in the sky as to are they doing the Baron or are they not. As we know, a double AD carry setup does the Baron so quick. Add a Nidalee heal on top of that, and the Baron is basically gone before you even get a chance to blink. But they're playing with the food right now, our Grand Zero. We're just making sure they clear out all kinds of vision, make sure that they know exactly where the side of Mammoth are, locked inside their base. Once they see all 5, would not be surprised them to go for the Baron.
Yeah, I expect to see Dian just sit down on bot lane and just be a nuisance. Try to force as many members as he can on the bot side because he can hit this tower like 1v1 against Cassante. He doesn't really care about like the tank damage as he is like Camille. And I expect to see Grand Zero just like start this Baron as 4.
Tien comes in, flanking from the side, finds his target. Gudo is the focus. Take him down instantly. Prayed for the one shot, but both mid laners get excited. So Schoenfire dives, but he's not going to be too upset by that one. Tien jumping across the wall saying, Guncrate, where you going, son? Straight to the afterlife. Double kill now for Fido. Bouncing on the head. He's playing leapfrog. He's acting like Kha'Zix when that champion used to be meta. There is the ace. And there is Grand Zero saying, enough of this charade. Let's close out the 2-0.
Yeah, don't even have to worry about the Baron. They just found the flank from Camille. They found the easy engage onto the carries, and it's just, you know, lights up from there when you have a Tristana just absolutely Groomer stomping all over your backline.
Certainly was. 17 kills and 13 kills. Really are trying to up the ante from game 1 to 2. Who could get the most? Who could break the record? I think the record from memory still has to be Limes, where he got 20 kills last split, last playoffs, as the Smolder. Either way, though, he's amongst the action tonight, and Grand Zero, the reigning champions, prove that even with the roster swaps, they are still the best team in the league.
Yeah, honestly, great showing from Grand Zero. I think that, like, it's really nice to see a strong team have an even stronger showing with what you would say losing their best player in Kisei. I think that, like, they did a really good job playing as a team, you know, enabling all their carries to be able to, you know, carry and, you know, just have a strong showing.
Well, all 3 points then claimed by Grand Zero as they get the 2-0 on this best of 2. And, well, we get a chance to jump to a break then. After the break, it'll be Antic up against Direwolves.